Ladies and gentlemen, I am very excited to introduce you to the first lesson of the A module, which is Tame Your Triggers. This is a personalized approach to minimizing phone use temptations. So the whole idea here with this lesson is moving from critical examination to an informed approach, right? Awareness is sort of going to be a key throughout this entire course. So the more aware you can start being of your own phone use temptations, the better off you're going to be for not only making a tailored approach to how you kind of interact with them, but also just in life. Just awareness in general is sort of something that I try to prioritize a whole lot more. It's definitely very beneficial for altering your environment, both your physical and digital environments. So I want to go over a few common phone use triggers. And by critically examining each one of our unique triggers that cause us to use our phones, we can develop a tactical approach informed by real-world evidence. So there are 5 common triggers that we've devised as the most common ones that sort of encapsulate all the reasons why we use our phone. And I'll go over them here. The first one here is time, right? Well, the first one here is using the pen tool instead of the eraser. No, the first trigger is time, right? Is there a certain time of day that you find yourself using your phone the most? For a lot of people, it's the morning. A lot of people sleep with their phone right next to them. I am one of those people because I track my sleep. Time is probably the biggest one. It is a huge factor of when we use our phone. Coming home from work is another big one for me that I'm trying to kick. The next one goes right into that is location. Is there certain locations around your house or in the world that you find yourself using your phone the most? Maybe it's in the bathroom, or maybe it's on the train on the way to work. Whatever it is, location is another huge trigger. The next one is preceding event. So it's the things that happen before we pick up our phones that influence us to pick up our phones the most. Again, this is sort of where awareness really comes into play, is you being aware of the event that you're in, and knowing that it could lead into some excessive phone use later. That is key for recognizing this trigger. Another one very similar to that, the preceding event, is emotional state. So how you're feeling throughout the day, that definitely plays a part in why and when you pick up your phone. Remember, we talked about emotional regulation. That has everything to do with emotional state. So being a little bit more aware of how you're feeling, and then more importantly, why you're feeling that way. That is a huge trigger of why you pick up your phone. Last one here, we have other people. I think of a time, a lot of times at work, where I work, we will have lunch, and we all try to have lunch together at the same time. And more often than not, if one person is on their phone, it's much easier for another person to just pick up their phone and to not have a very human lunch. We'll all just kind of be sitting there staring at our screens. But the more aware of that we can all be, not only of when we use our phones, but why we're using our phones and in what situations, what environments we're using our phones, the better off we're going to be. I think there's so much clarity in awareness. The simple act of reflecting allows for a little bit more introspection and potential answers when it comes to figuring out why you use your phone and when you use your phone and in what environment we use our phone. The thing that I'm really excited about with this module, with this lesson even, is this next word. And this is a word that I have to give credit to my boy Liam. Liam and I made this course. He's the sort of the guy in the chair, if you will. Love that guy. He's one of my best friends at this point. We've been building this course for forever. And when he came up with this concept, I basically hit the floor, because this completely changed how I view my phone usage, and I know it will for you too. So by reframing how you merely think about picking your phone up, you can begin to attack the problem at the root. And there's one word that I want you to keep in mind as we move forward now, and that is this word here. Every time you pick up your phone, you are having a taptation. And when Liam told me this word, it immediately stuck in my head just because of how memorable it is. And it really made me consider every time picking up my phone, oh, this is a taptation. That I'm having a taptation right now. Taptation, if you aren't catching on, it's a combination of the word tapping and temptations. And it's just a fun word that you can use to kind of anchor your own thoughts in what it is reality. So every time you reach for your phone, that is a taptation. Anchor your physical contact with your phone with the words, this is a taptation. When do you find yourself picking up your phone most often? And when do you find yourself not even thinking about your phone? When do you find yourself susceptible to taptations? And when do you find yourself not even thinking about taptations? Every time the little ding went off on my phone, I learned pretty quickly to associate that with the word, oh, this is a taptation. So really sit with this word and understand it. Write this over and over in your notes. When do you find yourself having taptations? Recognize a taptation when they happen and start sticking with this word because it's so incredibly important. And for me, it changed the way I use my phone and recognize when I use my phone. So your triggers are now going to be referred to as taptations. Here's some tips for remaining aware and adaptable. The big point I want to make here is just opening yourself up to becoming more aware of your own triggers. It just makes it much easier to make changes. Again, awareness is such a key part of not only this course, but I believe who you should be, right? Just becoming more aware of who you are in time and space. You should be a little bit more self-aware, and you should definitely be more habitually aware, which is a huge key for changing any habits that you want to kick. Being critically aware of what your triggers are is so important. Recognizing, which of the 5 triggers you're most susceptible to. Another great way of being more aware is that concept of pointing and calling that we talked about in the H module, right? Being literally verbal about what you're doing. For example, when you're having a taptation, you can say, I am picking up my phone to check social media. And the more you do that, the more it'll stick in your brain, just associating that action of picking up your phone with the thing that you just said. Awareness is the first step in anything, in my opinion. Just because you know your taptations doesn't mean you're going to change immediately. We learned before that habits are deeply ingrained in who we are, and it's unreasonable to think that those things will change overnight. James Clear's habit scorecard is a great way of becoming a little bit more aware of not only your habits, but the way you think about them and whether or not you think a habit is an effective habit or an ineffective habit. Remember, the habit scorecard is writing down your habits either as they happen or the ones that you know are already established, and scoring them with plus for a good habit, minus for a bad habit, and equal sign for neutral. Do this for all the times that you pick up your phone. If you can, carry around a small notebook or a piece of paper with you. Try not to do a digital note on your phone because that destroys the purpose, but write down all of the times that you are picking up your phone. This way you can sort of begin to examine what times of day you are picking up your phone. Maybe it is truly in the morning, and maybe that's how you start your day. And whether or not that's a good thing is ultimately up to you. I think I would lean and err on the side of that's probably not a great way to start your day. But if you start recognizing there's more weight on the times that you pick up your phone in certain parts of the day, then maybe you can start critically examining why those parts of the day are the times that you pick up your phone. So keep a habit scorecard specifically for phone use and begin to examine all of the hot spots in terms of time or location or preceding events or emotional state or other people that cause you to pick up your phone. So now that we are more aware of the common factors that cause us to pick up our phone, we are ready to prime our digital and physical environments for success. However, before that, I would love to go over the guided journal questions, where we guide you through some reflective questions to help with your comprehension of the material presented here. So underneath the Tame Your Trigger section, there are 2 questions. Number 1, what are your most frequent personal triggers you've identified that lead to excessive phone use? Describe a situation where a trigger led to unplanned screen time. Here's a hot tip. If you're not sure of what your most common triggers are, pay attention to when you get urges to open your phone, which we just learned are known as taptations. What feeling or event immediately preceded that urge? Write these down. over the course of a few days to get a good idea of your most common triggers. Again, that is that habit scorecard at work. And number 2, as you continue to evolve and change, how will you maintain awareness of potential new triggers and make necessary adjustments? Again, I think that word taptation is so strong, and it is such a anchoring word that you can keep at the front of your mind every time you reach for your phone. I know that's something that I personally do still to this day, even after months and months of having that word invented by Liam. So recognize your taptations and become a little bit more aware of who you are and what you're doing, and more importantly, why you're doing it and when you're doing it. We don't need to know how you're doing it, because how you're doing it is with your phone. So thank you for sitting through the first lesson here of the A module. I can't wait to start talking about aptitude adjustment, which is the second lesson coming right up. I'll see you there.